Hello, sir. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, very well. Sorry to keep you waiting. We just had a bit of a long, my last one, we just had a bit of a long, in-depth conversation. He got into my
Uh,
subject. My subject is like kickboxing, Muay Thai thinking. We got on that, and when I start talking, it's kind of hard to shut my mouth.
I get it.
So I do
I get it.
apologize.
Well, especially with those topics. I've been boxing for 20 years and doing martial arts all around it. So I get
Oh,
it. I get into
wow.
talking
So I've
about
got
it too.
another box of martial arts. We'll get onto that subject
Yeah.
in just a bit. Okay, cool. So tell me a little bit about you then. Okay, so you've been boxing martial arts for 20 years. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 30. I started when I was a kid. Got into a fight on the in the schoolyard at one point,
Hmm.
and ended up losing pretty badly. And my mom is hardcore Filipino, has a little bit of a Filipino martial arts background herself, and wasn't about to stand for that. So she took me, enrolled me in my first Taekwondo and boxing class the next day, and it's been off to the races ever since.
Nice, nice, nice. I think my mum done something similar to me, but I don't think she knew about my fights because I didn't tell her in school. Because I didn't tell her about my fights in school, but I used to fight it pretty much every single day. And
Oh wow!
at 10 years old, we grew up in a kind of like roughish area anyway. But 10 years old, I started doing
Mhm.
karate, and it was a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing, it learnt me how to fight properly and to punch people. Um, that was a good thing.
Yeah,
Bad thing was like when I was in school, when I went to high school, I used to punch people and knock them out. So
yeah,
that was the
yeah.
bad side of it. But then I
It
kind of
was
reined that back a little bit. When I started kickboxing, I totally reined it back. So because I started kickboxing. Anyway, enough about me. You're 30 years old.
mhm.
You've been in the real world for how long?
About 10 months since August of 2024.
Okay, cool. So first of all, what made you join the real world?
Poverty, honestly. I had just gotten divorced at the time. Well, I'd been divorced for a little while at the time. I had just moved to Seattle, living in a city I didn't really know, didn't really have resources in, things like that. I had had a sales background originally in insurance, and can talk more about that a little bit later. But I wasn't working there at the time. I had, like I said, just moved, and got there, and it was a pretty rough situation. I'd been promised a job, it fell through, and all that. There were days when I ended up not really being able to, have a meal and all that. And somewhere along the way through all of that, a friend of mine ended up pointing me towards the real world and videos of Andrew Tate and all that.
Mm,
And I got to watch some of them and really took in kind of what was being said.
yeah.
Um, Ended up door dashing for the $50 it took to join, and first signed on with the immediately went into the business class, and 2 weeks after that started seeing some success and got hired on as a business consultant. um,
Wow.
Again, been
So
off to the races ever since.
yeah, so
You
it's
know.
immediate. It's pretty much as soon as you joined, it was immediate. What was you doing before? Like, what was your job before? Because you said you was in sales. What was your job before you joined in the real world?
Yeah, so I was working in insurance originally as a claims adjuster, but before I moved over to sales, and then I started working um, just exclusively sales, both for Geico and kind of on my own as freelance
Mhm.
for insurance. And COVID was a great marketplace to get into that. But the problem with all of that was, there were so many guidelines and restrictions and so much of what you can't do,
Mm.
um, that doing it was, I mean, it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Um, and then, when I started kind of progressing with the whole divorce proceedings and things like that, ended up kind of doing my my own thing. It was a clean enough break that at that point it was, what do I really want to do? Where do I really want to end up?
Yeah.
Um, and how do I get out of my situation without having to do, without getting stuck in another rut of
Yeah.
sorts.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was mostly insurance sales leading up till that point, and then before that, I worked security. Um, Tried the whole amateur fight bracket, but that was more bare knuckle MMA stuff down in Tijuana. I was living in San Diego at the time, so the all the fun stuff that wasn't so fun at the time.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty much
I
right.
know that I wouldn't do that bare knuckle stuff. Kudos to you for doing it because I wouldn't do that. So you're in Seattle now.
So I was I'm currently on the central coast of California,
Oh, nice.
just a block away from the beach. Um, yeah, intended for life to get really good, and
Yeah, well,
it's built so far.
so you joined. So you went through all of that, and then you joined the real world,
Yes,
and you went
yes, I did.
straight into the business campus. Did you say?
Yeah, that was the first stop I made. Got through the whole introductory videos and stuff, and then had the list of campuses to choose from.
Mm,
Um, Business was kind of it's what I did in largely educationally. I have some college under my belt, and I was like, well, I mean, business is as good a place to start. I wasn't particularly tech savvy. Really only used Microsoft Excel for previous work experience.
mhm,
So I was like, this seems like a good general place to start. My first lessons were, Arno teaching how to, make a logo, choose a business name, build a website,
mm.
those initial lessons that you learn. And like I said, 2 weeks later, it started really paying off. So.
Okay, cool. So tell me about the 2 weeks later. How did it pay off? Why?
Yeah, so I ended up essentially talking to someone that I had met around town who kind of led a team of analysts, data analysts, filtering information, things like that for other companies. They worked on a contract basis.
Mm,
I ended up talking to them kind of about what I was doing. I, didn't mention to them that I had only learned it 2 weeks ago, but I kind of got into it and started kind of advising on where I thought that they could go. Business wise, how they could get more clients, kind of what was needed to pull their team together and really increase their numbers in sales.
mhm,
And the manager really liked what I had to say and essentially recommended me to a business consultancy group that he had worked with, got me in the door and got me hired with them, and then requested that I work with his team of analysts specifically.
mhm,
And since then, they've been, my main contract, my main source of income up until fairly recently when I started working with a team of developers that I've kind of met on my own or through the contracts that they've received and whatnot. And recently started our own company aside from all of that as kind of a side project. Um, but yeah, I've made about 70K through the business consultancy work that I've been doing, which has been
wow.
absolutely
You
great.
went from pretty much nothing to what was your first?
To
What was your first paycheck? What was your first paycheck from the 2 weeks? Because you said you started 2 weeks, and then obviously there might have been another month or so, or another 2 weeks. But what was?
Yeah, the first paycheck was really nice at the time. It was about 2,000 to start with,
Mhm.
but the following paycheck, because I was only getting paid for a couple of days doing it.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
following paycheck was a lot bigger. It was about 5,000, and I hadn't ever made that in 2 weeks. I
You
mean,
were
I had
super
effectively,
happy.
ridiculously. I think I 2.5 times my salary from when I was working sales and insurance before
Yeah,
all of this.
yeah,
And
yeah.
what a feeling,
Yeah.
what a
In such a short space of time as well.
yes, yeah, and the results were were that immediate, and there's nothing that feels more validating than instant results. Of course, there's a certain amount of dialing that back for down the road when it comes to trying to make real money. Like I have the I'm sure common goal with most people in the real world of becoming a multimillionaire by the end of the year, and I have a couple months left to make that happen. So there's a certain amount of, as you scale your goals, there's a certain amount of, temper your expectations as well, but work as hard as you can.
Yeah.
But especially coming straight off of being hungry and
Yeah.
having to rely on friends and family to really get by.
Yeah. No, that's it's yeah,
No
it's
feeling like it.
yeah, nothing like it, nothing like it. So then where are you sitting at now?
So right now, like I said, 70K up or 75K up, which is really nice on the business consultancy front. I intend to keep doing that for as long as they'll have me. They're a great group of analysts. The company that I recently started with the team that I've kind of put together, we just closed our first sale for 4 months, or excuse me, for $4,000 for this first initial month.
Mhm.
Um, we just closed that out, and we have a couple more potential clients lined up over in the Los Angeles area, which is about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours away,
Mhm.
and that's where the majority of the team lives as well. So, um, as much as I like the beaches around here, I'm planning on moving out there sometime soon so that we can take a look at
Keep it
20xing
ticking.
that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So really, like again, I'm putting words in your mouth, but I'm not putting words in your mouth. But like, since you joined the real world, it probably changed your life.
1000%. And I think that the only thing that I would change leading up to this point, I would have done it sooner.
Okay, that leads me on to my next question. What do you think
Mhm.
the hardest part about your journey has been? Obviously, your own personal journey, because you've not really been in the real world too long, but you've done very, very well. But yeah, what's the hardest part about your journey? What's been the hardest thing about your journey?
I think there's a lot of ways I could answer that. I think that, the fallout of any major failure. I know I referenced my separation from my
Mm,
ex-wife as,
mm,
a little bit earlier. Honestly, all of that previous stuff
mm,
was easy. Not in the sense of going through it was easy and the fallout was easy, but it happened and there was no avoiding it.
mm,
I think the hardest part of it was the mindset shift it took for me to get here over the past 10 months. I work 22-hour days. I don't sleep.
mm,
It's sun up to sundown, work, 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 whether I'm working on business consulting, whether I'm, doing something for my business, whatever the case may be. But I think that it's also the most rewarding thing, as because it's such a I'm working so hard, but I don't have time to really worry about doing anything or lack of doing anything that
yeah,
would
yeah, yeah,
cause me,
yeah, yeah.
you know, it's, pedal to the metal, grindstone. Let's get this,
Get it
for
done.
lack of a better analogy. Yeah.
I think it gets to a point where I mean I think we're at that point as well where we work and work and work and work and work, and then like there's things to do. There's things to do. Do you really want to do? No, no, no. Let's carry on working. Well, there's things to do. Do you really want to do? No, let's carry on working. And even now, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you make. It doesn't matter what you. It's still the grind still continues. Someone asked me the other day, "Do you not take a break at the weekends?" I was like, "What? What's the weekend? Like, what is the
Yeah.
weekend? We don't live for the weekend. Every day's a weekend. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You can manage. We can manage our time where, like, okay, cool. If I want to go out in the evening on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, I can do that. I don't
Mhm.
save it all for the weekend. I'm not like a 9 to 5 go home. I'm not a robot like in that sense. I
Mhm.
might work from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock in the morning on my
Hmm.
laptop. But that's my choice. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I choose to do that because then the reward that comes from the back of that, I'm always happy with, even if it's super small.
Hmm.
I mean, just like two more
It's
people.
forward.
Absolutely, it's still moving forward, and it's only gonna move forward there on in. So I'm gonna keep pushing it. I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing until I'm fully content with where I am. And
Yep.
that might be a year away. That might be 2 years ago. It might be 6 months away. It might be 6 weeks away. It might be 6 days away. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But I'm still gonna keep pushing. Do you know what I mean? So, and like I say, I think what we were saying before is the reward that you get from it is just undescribable. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well, and I think a huge part of that too. I recently started because I also want to go professional with boxing. Like I
Mm,
said, been doing it for a while, and I want to eventually go pro and take a shot at the title because I that's just what I've wanted to do since I was a kid.
yeah.
Uh, I've been able to maintain a solid diet. I haven't slipped out health wise. I've been doing really, really well the past year.
Mm,
Um, it a couple of months ago, I was in the hospital for pneumonia and other health related stuff, and they kept trying to pile on, diagnosis after diagnosis, and it wasn't something that I was willing to put up with.
mm,
And I mean, I never would have had the money slash opportunity to turn all of that around.
yeah.
And it got to the point where my lung was so full of like blood and liquid that they had to go in twice and drain it with a needle.
Mm.
Um, and
Hemothorax.
what's up?
Hemothorax. That's called.
Is that what it's
That's what
called?
it's called. Yeah, I
Uh,
had two. I've had one either side as well.
I didn't know it was called that, but I know what it feels like.
I know what it feels like as well, and I can relate to you on both sides of that. Both sides of my body, I can relate to you on both sides of that as well. It's not nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine what it would be like on both sides. I just had it, on the one, like I said, drained twice.
Mm,
Um, since I've, been out, my diet is cleaned up. I got rid of the carbs. I've been, much more energetic on top of, the working schedule and all that, seeing all the progress that I've been making. Um, I just signed on with a guy who I think is going to be a solid coach to have in my corner, which I'm very happy about.
good.
Um, but I none of it would be possible without the real world. I wouldn't be breathing right here without it. I am healthier than I've been
Yeah.
since 10 years.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
it's
right
funny
now.
that because I was going to say it's funny that as I get older, I feel like I'm getting healthier. I'm getting like younger. As I get older, I'm getting younger.
Hmm.
Like I always say to people, I'm a fine wine. I'm mature with age.
Hmm.
But like everything that we've got it basically to hand, and I think you've got everything to hand in the real world as well because you've got Alex that teaches you how to look after your body, nutrition wise and supplement wise, if that's your thing. Me personally, I'm not really a supplement person. I'm more of a kind of try and find a natural solution
Hmm.
to basically everything because 50, 60, 100 years ago, whatever, blah blah, they didn't have natural, they didn't use
Right.
pharmaceuticals. So
Yeah.
there's always been a way to overcome every single illness some way. Okay, illness has got a little bit worse, but do you know what I mean? There's always been some way.
Yeah, and I am looking forward to trying Fireblood, but I've been the same way. I've never really used supplements up till now.
Yeah,
My uncle was a competitive weightlifter in the Philippines, and every time I would go back to visit, he'd teach me, how to lift and kind of new tricks on what to do in the gym and whatnot to get bigger. I'm 6'3", 280 pounds.
wow.
Um, and so I really enjoy weightlifting. It's kind of that,
Mm.
that meditative state for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
it's the same. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I never took creatine, never did anything like that. No
that's,
extra test.
that's good.
Uh, it's
That's good.
I'm looking forward to trying Fireblood because I hear everything about it is natural.
Well, yeah, that's the only thing. I mean, I take Fireblood, and the only reason why is because everything is sourced naturally. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. It tastes rank. It tastes horrible, as it's supposed to. As it's
Yeah.
supposed to. Liver doesn't taste nice. People might think that liver doesn't taste nice, but it doesn't. But the vitamins and minerals that you get in liver, kidneys, whatever, blah blah, the whatever you eat, contains so much vitamins and minerals in it. That
Hmm.
exactly the same. I'm pointing at that because it's right there. Fiber is exactly the same. Vitamins, minerals, all of the good stuff that you need, all of your body needs, and all of the stuff that you'll get from other sources of natural foods are in that. So that's why, for me, Fireblood is the only thing that I would go near. Everything else I wouldn't touch. Everything else.
Well, that really sells me on it. I mean, you're looking, like you're in great shape, and I mean, it sounds like you're just as natural as I am. So the
Yeah,
fact that you're
I don't
enjoying
do
it for
yeah.
me is huge. So
I've got a small back pain here, and because I think I overdone it in the gym. I'm sitting on an actual cushion. I've got a cushion here. You can see it beside me. So I'm sitting on. But they're like, "Oh, do you want some painkillers?" No. Do you want some this? No. You should take this. I was like, "Is it a pill?" Like, yeah. I'm like, "No." But you're going to be in pain. I was like, "Okay, fair. Give me some tiger balm and some Thai oil. I'll
yeah,
rub it on there.
water and Tylenol. That's the fix,
Exactly.
right?
I'll rub it on there and I'll relax and I'll just chill until it goes away. My body will deal with it. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Turmeric, cinnamon, drink honey for anti-inflammatories. There's other anti-inflammatories, argan oil, oil of oregano, black seed oil, ashwagandha powder, all of that stuff. I'll deal with
Hmm.
that. I don't want anything else. You can keep your
Yeah,
painkillers, your 400 milligrams of whatever you want to go.
no
Someone,
5 hour energy.
yeah,
Just
no, forget about that.
yep.
Okay, let me just jump back onto business real quick.
Of course. Yeah.
What did I forget to ask you? So, what's your plan moving forward for your business? Obviously, because you've got your new business, you've got the current business that you're working with. Excuse me, your current business that you're working with at the moment,
Hmm.
um, and you've got your new one just starting. So, where do you see that 6 month projection in your own business?
Like I said, I have the goal of becoming a multimillionaire within the year, and we're working very hard on that. Me and my team. Um, I mentioned I work 22-hour days. I've been blessed to have a developer on my back end. We're in the AI space. I'm also part of the AI automation and the AI content creation campuses as well, where I kind of learned the three basic bots that they teach how to build. So I learned how to kind of market that towards clients.
Mm,
Um, I have a developer who is more gifted than in AI than anyone I've ever seen. And she has the same work ethic principles that I do. It's very much I text her. If you go through my phone, you'll find I text her 3 a.m., noon, 4 p.m. at ungodly hours of the day. We're having conversations about what our next steps are going to be because she's up with me, I'm up
yeah.
with her. It's my developer and I are very much working around the clock to make this happen. But like I said, we have a couple of deals. Hopefully in the works. We have a couple of potential
Mm,
clients that
yes,
we're going to be meeting with, looking to hopefully build up to that 10K passive income pretty quickly. Well, passive, 10K in monthly income,
mhm.
and then be able to turn around and, like I said, once I move out to LA, if that's in the works by then, no matter where we're at, but especially when we're living in the same city, looking to 20x that, 50x that, whatever it takes to really
Really cool.
start
Yeah.
making us a lot of money and
So,
developing our tool as best we can.
so apart from the clients that you already have that are in the pipeline, how do you plan on getting any more? Do you have a strategy for that, or?
For right now, like I said, it's just been the first month that we've been outreaching. So I've gotten, I want to say, upwards of about 9 meetings right now, and we just signed our first client. Um, I I intend to keep doing what I'm doing, where I'm, both cold calling places, seeing if I can get, managers on the line, going door to door. I've done that with a couple of local businesses, even here. That's how we actually landed our first client, was a local um, candy shop.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, and the owner of that happened to be in the real estate space, and so we're negotiating putting a bot there too, which very successful broker around here.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
so it's kind of building up that way for right now.
Yeah.
Past that, I've been making a lot of inroads into social media and trying to really expand my audience there, and hopefully after, I have a channel right now that's gotten quite a few followers off the rip. My fitness channel has somewhere above 6,000 followers right now.
Awesome.
um, and I know my developer has also been doing stuff on her channel, and she has, I want to say, somewhere above 10K followers.
Wow.
So we're going to be reaching out through that and seeing if we can really expand our advertisement and marketing there as well, see what we can do.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. That sounds absolutely awesome. Okay, last question. What would you say to someone that says the real world is a scam? I say this with a big smile.
ooh
I know the answer.
I'd tell them to hop off whatever drugs they think they're taking. It's I am a perfect example of what that success story looks like. I mean, I have nothing but success from here left to reach, and I came from a place where, to be honest, for a little while there, I didn't think I was ever going to
Yeah,
be
right.
able to pull myself up from. I have a wonderful partner, bunch of business opportunities that I've developed solely because of what I've learned from the real world. Anyone who says that TRW isn't worth it has no idea what they're talking about and needs to educate themselves really, really well,
Yeah,
especially on what they want out of life.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
you know, I don't think that there's a better tool than TRW to go after your goals, as long as they are monetary and business centric.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And you need to, like you say, you need to put in the work as well. It's not just the kind of like just joining. You need to put in the work. You need to identify what you want out of the TRW, and just basically just go for it.
mhm.
Um,
You need to become addicted to
yeah,
it.
which you've done.
It's
Yeah,
got to become,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, work has to become the water you drink, the air you breathe.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's. I say this to people as well because, like, you get up in the morning, you get up on a Monday morning, go to your job, you leave, you get up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, you go to your 9 to 5, and you'll put in all your effort into 9 to 5, and you come back home at about 6 in the evening. If you put that time into the TLW, you'll be 10 times more successful than what you would do in
Mhm.
your 9 to 5 job.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That's
I
and man,
know that.
8 hours, 10 hours, whatever, blah blah, 12 hours of work into that thing without. Okay, cool. You get up and it's a 12-hour day because you have to travel, this, that, the other, blah blah. You put that 12-hour day into your work on the TLW. What? It's gonna go like that. Simple.
Yeah, and I mean, the view looks a lot better from that mountaintop once you hit it too.
Absolutely, 100%,
It's
100%.
there's
No one on your
like
lap. It's
the only thing I think I ever really regret is not ever knowing or joining sooner.
yeah,
When I joined, it was within a few days of hearing about it.
mm,
If I had known about it 5 years prior, I know it's hasn't quite been around that long, but if I had known about it day one,
yeah.
I would have been in TRW working my way up doing Python.
I always say this. I always say this to people anyway. Your time, your when you joined was your time to join. Okay,
Mhm.
so everything happens for a reason. There is no kind of coincidence. If you'd have joined 5 years earlier, maybe you was. were still with your partner, this, that, the other, blah, blah, maybe things wouldn't have happened the same way that they're happening now. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you wouldn't have the same drive
True.
that you have now. Do you know what I mean? So things happen for a reason. There's no coincidence. So
That's a fair point.
you were supposed to join. You're supposed to have the success that you're having now, because you've got the motivation, you've got the drive. You're supposed to go through your low point. Your low point brings you up to your high point because you can't go any lower than that. So the only way is up. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you hit your rock bottom, you hit your low point. So he's like, okay, cool, I need to get out of this. And the best way
Yeah.
to get out of it was TRW. If you were with it 2, 3 years earlier, who would have said you hit a low point to understand, to realize, to recognize what you've got inside you to actually bloom like you are now?
That's a fair point, and I then I'll amend my earlier statement. I would have joined many years earlier if it meant I could end up in the same exact place that I am right now, which is
Yeah.
driven, still working, still tired, and having a great time doing it. You know.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I'm glad you're in here as well, and I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best with your new business as well. I wish you all the best with your boxing as well.
Yeah, likewise, boss.
Um,
And
so you have to keep me updated on that one because I really want to know how you get on.
I'll
Um,
tell you what, I'll get to where you guys are at and fly out, and we can hang out, grab dinner, and talk about it personally.
Absolutely, be great, be great, be great.
Yes, sir.
So again, wish you all the best. Keep working as hard as possible. You'll be able to chill soon. A couple of years, you'll be able to chill, but keep working as hard as you can. And then, yeah, chase that dream of get jumping in a ring and doing what you want to do. Do you know what I mean? Because it's there, and
Yes,
once you
sir.
get a little bit more time for yourself, then you'll be able to do it quite happily.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm not sure I'm the type to ever sit back and relax no matter what I'm doing at this
There you
point.
go. So yeah, it's all 100 miles an hour, which I like anyway. So that's all
Hmm.
good. So super good talking to you. Sorry to keep you so long. Sorry to keep you waiting. And yeah, I'll speak to you soon.
I appreciate you, boss.
No worries.
Thanks for meeting with me today.